Hey there, happy Monday. I am so excited to be jumping on this afternoon for Marketing Advice Monday. I'm going to give folks just a couple minutes here there's Bella, our mascot, our Marketing Advice Monday mascot. I'm going to give folks just a couple minutes to trickle in here. But as you may have seen in the event invite and over here, there's Bella. Her little face in the event description. Today we're talking about the 3 things that all successful private practice owners do. So I'm really excited to jump into this. If you are joining live, say hello, let me know where you're joining from. If instead you are catching the replay, pop a hashtag replay or something like that into the comments, just so I can make sure I see any questions you have and make sure that I can still answer your questions when it comes to this topic. If this is your first time joining live with me, my name is Anna Walker. I am a web and marketing strategist. I work with private practitioners just like you to get booked out with clients you love and who ultimately love you too. Marketing Advice Monday is all about answering some of those really big kind of key questions around marketing for private practitioners. The reason that I created this group, the reason I do what I do is because historically, private practitioners, private practice owners have not had access to modern marketing methods. You probably have found this, it's not like grad school taught you anything about how to go out and start marketing yourself. You may have some colleagues or some friends that are not even online and that kind of thing, but the chances are that if you're in this group, if you're wanting to grow your practice, that the landscape that you have to operate within is a lot different than it used to be 5, 10, 15 years ago. And it means that you have to rely on what we call these modern marketing methods in order to grow your practice. It's not as simple anymore as leaving your business card at coffee shops and that kind of thing. You really have to be intentional. And so that's what this group is about. It's about equipping you to be intentional, but to do it in a way that is not just effective, because of course we want to see the needle move in your practice, but also that's authentic to you. The nature of the work that you do as a therapist means that your authenticity, this, is critical to your success because a potential client needs to connect with you in order to decide to work with you. And if they are sensing an inauthenticity, if you're not being genuine in the way that you're marketing yourself and talking about yourself, you're going to hurt yourself because they're not going to want to work, and ultimately give 50 minutes of their time every single week with someone that they feel like they can't trust. So marketing in general is all about trust and connection, but it's especially true for private practitioners like you. The one thing that is another sort of theme in this group, and this is what's going to get us going on today, is that marketing is not one size fits all. There are a lot of marketing strategists for private practitioners out there who claim that one strategy is like the chief must do, otherwise you won't survive sort of thing. Maybe it's Facebook ads, or you have to blog, or you have to pour into SEO, and it's just not true. I come at this private practice marketing with actually a really unique perspective because I have spent my career in the last couple of years up until now serving all sizes of businesses. So I have served solopreneurs similar to you, all the way up to a Fortune 500, $27 billion company. I've been on the leading edge, truly, of modern marketing, and I'm seeing what's working out there. And the fact is that marketing is never one size fits all. And when it comes to you and you having to implement something that is authentic to you, don't believe the lie that you have to do a certain thing in order to be successful, because that's just not the case. So that means that if you talk to 100, full-time private practitioners that are fully booked and are making a comfortable living, they're going to tell you that they got there 100 different ways. They really are. And that means that, there's a lot of opportunity for you. That should be exciting because it means that you can, you can find something that works for you. You don't have to necessarily be cookie cutter. You don't have to do what your colleague is doing if it doesn't feel right for you. There's potential. But on the flip side, although there are a lot of different strategies for marketing your private practice, there are also a couple really fundamental things that every single one of those 100 people we would go out and interview are doing. And that's what I want to talk about today. This is something that I have started to observe in this space more and more and more, even just in the last couple months. I'm seeing that successful private practitioners are doing a couple really key critical things. So today we're going to dive into what those 3 things are and what it can mean for you, and maybe how you can start fleshing that out and start bringing that to life in your own practice. Number 1, successful private practitioners know how to confidently communicate their value. That feels a little bit like marketing ease, maybe a little bit jargony to communicate your value. But what I mean by that is you, as a private practitioner, you offer your clients something that no one else does. And that is what we call the only you factor here in this group. But you have a competitive advantage. You have something you bring to your sessions, to your clients, to your methodology, to your modalities that no one else does. And successful private practitioners I'm watching are actually harnessing the power of that. They're learning how to talk about it, and they're confident about it. If your only you factor is that you have really unique hours, if that is the way that you really stand out in your area, you need to harness the power of that. You need to learn how to talk about it and keep that at the forefront of how you communicate what it is that you do. If your only you factor is that you're very goal oriented, that every session is with a goal in mind, and I think every therapist could probably claim that, but if that's how you structure your sessions, everything's very goal oriented, therefore you work with people that are very driven and very goal oriented themselves, you learn how to talk about that. So for you, if you feel like maybe you sit back and you're like, what am I doing here in my area? Maybe you live in a metropolitan area where there are just, countless therapists, and you're like, how in the world do I stand out? Do the hard work of starting to think about what it is that you bring that no one else does, and then be really proud of it. We've talked about the last couple of weeks about messaging, about how there's a couple really key things, messaging components that you can write for your private practice. And one of those is your positioning statement. Your positioning statement is basically just a fancy way to say, you know how to communicate your only you factor, and you've practiced it. And you have spent some time kind of finessing that so that if and when someone is like, if you're running into someone that you went to college with, or someone you get to talking with someone, in the Starbucks line, they ask you what you do, you can lead with your confident, your confidence and owning your only you factor, because it is that only you factor. It is that differentiator that is what is ultimately going to help you stand out in your ideal clients' minds. So if you haven't done the hard work in determining what that is, that's a really good place to start, because I'm seeing really successful private practitioners be so confident in what it is that they do and how they're different. Don't worry about standing out. Instead, harness the power of that and then practice it. Learn how to communicate it in a way that feels very, again, authentic to you, but that really gets to the heart of the amazing value you offer and the amazing reasons that your clients pick you and not someone else. Because if you can start to get really good at that, more clients are going to pick you instead of someone else, but they have to know what that is, right? You have to put that out there. So that's the first thing. Successful private practitioners know how to confidently communicate their value. Number 2, what's interesting about marketing is, again, you need to be authentic, but in order to be effective, you have to know who you're talking about. And successful private practice owners are letting their ideal clients tell them what to do. And I don't mean that they're sitting down and saying, how do you want me to do my marketing? It's not like you're sitting down with your favorite client at the end of a session and be like, would you mind telling me? But what I mean by that is they're getting to know their ideal client. They're focused and niched enough that they have an ideal client. They have the true client type that they would love to just fill their practice with. And they're letting that client drive their decision making. It can be really easy, and this is going to kind of flow into my third point, but it can be really easy to get distracted out there. There are a lot of different marketing strategies, right? If we were talking to those 100 private practitioners. So it's hard to know exactly what is right for you. And I am seeing the way that private practice owners, the ones that are getting booked out and are full-time in their business, are making decisions for their practice based on what their ideal client needs. I've talked about in this group before how marketing is basically going out and meeting someone on their own turf. Your website and your office, that is your personal turf. But what you have to do, rather than just expecting people to land, on your land, instead you have to go out and you have to meet them where they are, right? Because if they're comfortable scrolling Instagram, then that's a really natural place to bump into you. So I'm watching how people are building out their marketing strategies and ultimately getting their name out there. And they're doing that and making decisions about how to do that by asking themselves, well, what would my ideal client need? What would my ideal client resonate with? And that's allowing them to focus themselves. If they know who it is they want to work with, and they know that who it is they want to work with is a really, really busy, stay-at-home mom who does not have a free moment, it's unlikely she's going to sit down to read blogs. So those private practitioners aren't blogging. It's understanding the nuances of the life that your ideal client is leading as they search for a therapist, and meeting those needs in the way that makes the most sense for them. So if this one is a little bit like, I'm not sure I'm totally doing that, what I would suggest to you is to build out an ideal client persona or profile. We've talked about this before. Check some of the older Marketing Advice Mondays to learn more about that. But basically, get to know who it is you want to work with. Write it down. It might feel a little bit silly, to profile your ideal client, but what that will allow you to do is to start to think, quite frankly, a little bit more creatively about what it is these people need. What is their day-to-day life look like, right? Where are they going around town that you might be able to bump into them? Where are they spending their time online? How much time do they have? All of those kinds of things can really start to help you decide, okay, this is not worth my time because it's not going to bring in the people that I ultimately want to work with. So that's that second one. They're letting their ideal clients guide their strategy. And then last but not least, again, sort of similar to the second one, they're not getting distracted. They are focused. This is the number one thing. This is the number one thing that I am noticing. They are staying focused on a handful of strategies. I'm not sure if you have heard the term shiny object syndrome before, but it is a thing that business owners, and you are a business owner, are really prone to. There are a lot of strategies out there. Oh, well, maybe I need to start an email newsletter, or I need to be on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and I need to work on my website, and I need to blog. And, you can get really, really distracted. You get distracted by the next shiny object. Something is presented to you, or you get an idea, or you see someone else do something. You're like, well, I guess I have to do that. And all of a sudden you are spread thin across all of these different strategies, doing none of them well and not really seeing any traction or results. The most productive, the most successful private practitioners that I'm seeing in this space right now are focused. They are not allowing themselves to get distracted by those shiny objects. And instead they are committing themselves to 1, 2, 3 different strategies and then getting really, really excellent at those. And so that's how I really want you to approach your private practice as you think about marketing. It's what I do for my clients. We look at the whole list of all of the different methods and strategies and tactics out there. And then we decide, okay, what makes sense for me as a private practitioner? What makes sense for my ideal client, like we talked about in number 2? And what can I get really good at? What can I commit to for a good amount of time so I can really start to see traction? Good marketing, again, in those Fortune 500s that I've worked with all the way down to smaller businesses, it's iterative and it has to be tested. And in order to have something that is worth testing, you have to give it enough effort and enough time to see if it works. So I really, really, really encourage you, if you right now are thinking about, okay, marketing, I'm doing like 6 different things. I want you to pare that down. I want you to ask yourself, what am I good at? What does my ideal client need? And what can I become excellent at? And I want you to bring that down to 2 to 3 things instead. If you right now are thinking about marketing, you're like, I'm not doing anything right now. That's great too. And as you think about what to implement, I want you to keep a really narrow focus and look at things really, really critically about whether or not it's actually going to move the needle in your practice. All this to say, there is a lot, right, that successful private practice owners are doing out there right now. And it can feel really, really overwhelming. I actually am really excited as part of this to let you know that I'm running a challenge next week. So instead of my normal Marketing Advice Monday, I'm actually doing a 3-day private practice marketing boot camp where we are going to dive into this stuff. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week in the evenings, I'm going to be hopping on and we're going to be really actually unpacking this at a much deeper level than I'm able to do just once a week in Marketing Advice Monday. And I would love to have you join me. If you think about marketing and it's totally overwhelming and you don't know where to start, then this is right for you. or if you're on that other side of the spectrum where you feel like you're doing too much and you don't know how to actually pare down and be effective, this is right for you. It's going to be 3 days. The first day is going to be all about, okay, what are the possibilities for marketing, and what are the pros and cons? Which one, makes sense, and which one costs money, and all of those kinds of things. We're going to unpack all of that. Second day, we're going to dive into the ultimate driver of your success. I'm going to give you some formulas, some layouts that you can start using on things like your website. And then that third day, we're going to talk about, okay, we know what we can do. We know all the different tactics and strategies. We know what's really going to drive our success, and we've got that in a good place. Now, how do we decide what to do? So on that third day, we're really going to dive into, okay, how do I decide, what method can I go through in order to determine what strategies make the most sense for me and my practice? Because ultimately, what I want you to do is I want you to be in this Facebook group called Booked Out, and I want you to get booked out. That is my goal. So I really hope that you are up for that challenge. You can go to walkerstrategyco.com/challenge to sign up. You'll just get a quick kick out email letting you know kind of what the agenda is. And then each day you'll just get a reminder. I'll send out the worksheets or the homework for each day so you can follow along and really get the most out of it. But it's going to be awesome. It's the most in-depth thing I've actually ever done, and I'm really excited to do it inside of this group for you guys. If you have any colleagues that would benefit, please let them know as well. Would love to have you guys. I will put that link here in the comments. And as always, if you have questions, if you're not sure about one of these 3 things I talked about, if you're really feeling like one of them's resonating and you want to dive in a little bit more, let's chat. Pop them into the comments. We can schedule some time to talk live if we need to. But I'm really excited about this. And I think that if this resonated with you today, the workshop next week is going to be perfect. And we're really just going to spend some time really unpacking these things. And I'm going to give you some tools so you can really start moving the needle in your practice. So I hope this has been helpful for you. A quick 17-minute marketing advice Monday. Go and enjoy the rest of your Monday. I will see you around the group this week, and then definitely next week for our challenge. Talk to you then.